Hello everyone, in this video we will learn about pollination. So in the previous class we learned about that the male and female gametes in the flower are produced in pollen grain and embryo sac. And just because both are non-motile, they have to be brought together for fertilization to occur. Now how this happens? Now it is happened by the pollination. So pollination is a mechanism to achieve this objective. The transfer of pollen grain that is shedded from the anther to the stigma of a pistil is termed as pollination. That means the transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma of a flower, we called it pollination. Now flowering plants have evolved an amazing array of adaptation to achieve pollination. So different type of flowering plant, they have various adaptation for achieve the pollination. Now what are they? Now kinds of pollination. So depending on the source of pollen, pollination can be divided into three types. So they are basically of three type of pollination. First is autogamy. So in this type of pollination, it is achieved within the same flower. That means when the transfer of pollen grain from the anther to stigma of a same flower, then we called it autogamy. So in a normal flower which opens and exposes the anther and stigma, complete autogamy is rather rare. That means if any plant which is producing the flower and it is exposing the anther and the stigma, in that case it is very rare that autogamy occurs. The reason behind that, the other flowers pollen grain may also land on the stigma. So that is why in that type of flower the autogamy is quite rare. Now what are the requirements of autogamy? So in such flowers, first of all, the synchrony in pollen release and stigma receptivity is needed. That means the time when the pollen are released, at the same time the stigma should able to receive that pollen grains. And second thing, the anther and the stigma should lie close to each other so that the self pollination may occur. Some of the plants such as the viola that we call the common pansy, oxalis and comeliana, these type of plants are producing two type of flower. First is chasmogamous and second is clistogamous. So what are these chasmogamous and clistogamous? So chasmogamous flower are those which are similar to other flower in which anther and stigma are exposed. That means like others common flower in which the anther and stigma they are commonly exposed, so they are producing that type of flower, we call them chasmogamous. And another type of flower that we call the clistogamous in which they are not open. That means the anther and the stigma are not exposed, they are closed. In clistogamous flower, the anther and the stigma lies close to each other. When anther detach in the flower bud, the pollen grain come in contact with stigma and the pollination occur. That means in clistogamous flower, just because they are not open, so the anther and the stigma lie close to each other, and whenever the anther releasing the pollen grain, they are come in contact with stigma and the pollination occur. So thus in clistogamous flower, the autogamy is occur very easily and there is no chance for close pollination. That means just because they are close, so no other flower's pollen grain can easily enter or land on the stigma, and that is why close pollination is not found in clistogamous flower. Now just because clistogamous flowers are closed, so they are assured to produce the set of seed even in the absence of pollinators. That means just because they are closed, so they don't need any type of pollinators. Without pollinators, they are able to produce a set of seed. Now the clistogamy is advantageous or disadvantageous to the plant. So obviously it has a disadvantage, because if the plant need variation, then the gametes should be come from the different plant or different flower which are genetically different. But if the clistogamy occur, in that case the gametes they will come from the same flower and they are genetically same, and that is why there will be no variation in this plant. So in this diagram we can see there are two type of flower. First is the chasmogamous that are open flower, and second is the clistogamous flower which are closed flower. Now the second is geitonogamy. So in this type, the transfer of pollen grain from the anther to the stigma of another flower of the same plant. That means in this type of pollination, the pollen grain is coming from the anther to the stigma of the different flower of the same plant. That means plant is same, but the flowers are different. And just because they are coming from the same plant, so that is why the genetically they are similar. They are similar to autogamy, but just because they are coming from the different flower, so it is cross pollination. Functionally it is cross pollination, and it needs pollinators. So genetically it is autogamy, but functionally it is cross pollination, because the pollen grains are coming from the same plant, and in same plant the flowers are always genetically same, and that is why whenever they are producing the gametes, they will also the genetically same. So the third type is xenogamy. So transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma of different plants. That means in this type of pollination, what happen? One plant which is producing the flower, that flower, the pollen grains are transferred to the stigma of flower which is present on different plant. So in this, both the gametes are present on different plants, and that is why they are genetically different. Now agents of pollination. So plants are using two type of agents. First is biotic and second is abiotic. In abiotic they are using the wind and water, and in biotic they are using the different type of organism and animals basically for achieve the pollination. Now in majority of plants they are using the biotic agent for pollination. Only a small proportion of the plant use the abiotic agent. That means in most of the plant you will find the biotic agent for the pollination. In very small amount of plants they are getting the pollination by abiotic means. Now pollen grains come in contact with the stigma is a chance factor in both wind and water pollination. That means whenever the pollination is occur by water and wind, in that condition it is just a chance that they will pollinate the stigma. Otherwise may be possible most of the pollen grain may be wasted, and that is why it is just a chance. Now to compensate this uncertainty, most of the flowers are producing enormous number of pollen as compared to stigma or pistil. That means if only hardly 2 or 3 pistils are there, in that condition the pollen grains are in thousands of number, and that is why the chances of pollination is increased. Now, whenever we are saying that the pollination is done by abiotic mean, in that condition, it is basically done by the wind. That means in most of the plants, if abiotic pollination occurs, it is basically done by the wind. But for the wind pollination, some requirements are there. So first requirement is the pollen grains are quite light in weight and they are non-sticky. That means if their pollen grains are light in weight and non-sticky, so that they can easily transport by the wind current, and also they possess a well exposed stamen, so that they can easily disperse the pollen grains with wind current, and often they have a large and feathery stigma so that they can easily trap the airborne pollen grains. So whatever the pollen grains are present in the air currents, they can easily trap when the stigma is quite long and feathery. Now if we observe the wind pollinated flower, then we will see that they contains a single ovule in each ovary and numerous flower packed in an inflorescence. That means in most of the flower which are wind pollinated, they possess a single ovule in each ovary, and also in one inflorescence you will find numerous flowers. So for example in corn cob, so this is the corn cob. In this the tussles. So these hair-like projections are tussles. So in these tussles we can see that it is nothing but a stigma and style which is easily move with the wind current so that it can easily trap the pollen grains in the air. And most of the grasses having the wind pollination. Now, when we talk about the pollination by water, then it is quite rare in flowering plant and it is limited up to 30 genera. That means in most of the flowering plants, water pollination is rare. That means it is not found. And mostly it is found in monocotyledons or monocots. So, as an agent, we know that in previous class we learned that the most of the male gametes among the lowering plants such as the algae, bryophyte and pteridophyte, they are basically transported by the water. That means water is the basic medium for to transport the male gamete in these type of plant. And that is why it is said that most of the pteridophyte and bryophyte have a limited distribution just because they are dependent on the water to transport the male gamete and for the fertilization. Now some examples of water pollinated plant are Vallisneria and Hydrilla, which is basically found in fresh water, and several marine sea grasses such as the Jostera. Now not all aquatic plants use water for pollination. That means it is not compulsory that whatever the plant is present in water, it will only pollinated by the water. In majority of aquatic plants such as the water hyacinth and water lily, the flower is emerged above the level of the water and the pollination is done by insect or wind in as the most of the land plants. That means in these type of plants the flower is emerged above the water level by the long stalk and the pollination is done by the insect or wind as the other plants having. Now in Vallisneria, the female flower reaches to the surface of the water by the long stalk and the male flower or pollen grains are released on the surface of the water. That means in Vallisneria, the female flower is reached to the surface by a long stalk and the male flower or pollen grain they are released on the surface of the water. They carried passively by the water current. That means they are not using any type of measure to travel in the water. They are carried passively by the water current. Now some of them eventually reach to the female flower and the stigma. That means by chance they are reaching to the stigma and they pollinate them. In another group of water pollinated plants such as the sea grasses, female flower remains submerged inside the water and the pollen grains are released inside the water. That means in these type of plants what happen, the female flower is submerged inside the water and the pollen grains they are released inside the water and by chance they are reaching to the stigma. In these type of plants the pollen grains are long ribbon like and they carried passively inside the water. So they are not using any type of mean, they are long and ribbon like so that they can easily captured by the stigma. Now in most of the plants that are having the water pollination, in that type of plant the pollen grains are basically protected by the mucilaginous cover so that they can easily protect and they will not spoil by the other mean. In both wind and water pollinated plants or flowers, they are not colorful and they are not producing any type of nectar. The reason behind that, these type of adaptations are only to attract the other biotic mean, that means other insect or any animal. But just because they are done or they are using air and water for the pollination, so they don't need any type of colorful flower or any flower that is producing the nectar.